What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Spring Legion Podcast. My name is Hunter Ferrier, joining you by Chase Ferrier again today, and we got a good one on the way. Got some. I'm not gonna call it mountain turkeys, but it's mountains to Mississippi. That we're gonna dive into some stories of calling some turkeys downhill for a change, and kind of how that might have played out, and how we got in necessarily in position for our luck to turn good. I guess I think a lot of it was a lot more had to do with right place at the right time, and apparently said some of the right words to a couple of I ain't gonna say long beards. One of them was a long beard. One of them was missing a beard,
Oh,
and but we'll get into that in just a minute. We were in Georgia, and we've been meaning to get to this episode. It might come out after we talk about a turkey that we killed after that. I think Seals and I was talking about one or something or another. Um, as we're kind of stacking some of these podcast episodes on top of each other as we're recording them, so we'll be prepared for the influx of demand that comes with the February wave of turkey hunting mindset shifts that are currently en route. They'll be here before you know it. And I hope that you are listening to this. You might be headed up to Nashville because this should be coming out around the time of the NWTF convention in Nashville, Tennessee, February 15th through the 17th. And of course, we will be there. And we're going to be in booth 609. And that is going to be, if you walk in through the registration and everything, and you hook a straight right. As soon as you walk through the entrance, not the doors, but you walk through the entrance after registering, you hook a right. You know that Mossy Oak corner's over there on that closest to your right. We're going to be between Nomad and them, so a couple of aisles over, I guess you'd say. As soon as you hook that first right before you walk up in everything, walk down walk down that way and look for the Nomad booth. It's going to be a lot bigger than ours. My shit's going to be a lot bigger than theirs, which is bigger than ours. We're going to be right in the middle of them, and hopefully we'll get some signage and stuff out there for y'all to find us if you're looking for us. If not, I hope you walk by at least because we're going to have some good stuff there. We're going to have these gators which came in. I don't know if we've even gotten to put these on the podcast yet. These new bottomland gators, waterproof, breathable gators, and loading. And also in this bottomland right here. And it's something that we have been working on for quite a while. I know we've talked about it a little bit before on here, but just wanted to let y'all see it for sure with your own eyes before we dived into too much. If you're listening to the audio version on this, you might want to check it out on YouTube and fast forward to about 2 minutes, and you'll be able to see it. But kind of got a little one-piece design going on here. Wanted to make sure that there wasn't any seams on the inside, so we got them to kind of do some type of binding here to kind of fuse the double extra layer on the bottom with the single layer on the top, and that's what's going to kind of keep it breathable. That this is a trick it back and this is able to got ventilation. This is a C6 DWR waterproof coated outer shell. So got all the waterproofing and stuff that most thicker versions of these have, which are mostly intended for snow and stuff. But I've never hunted turkeys in the snow, and I wanted one that was kind of built for the warmer climates of spring turkey season. So we got those engineered up and lined out over the course of a year or two, and finally got something that we liked. And that's another thing. I want to make sure that thing was as strong as all get out, so they wouldn't rip. The stirrup on the bottom with the lace hook as well. Added one of these little stirrup holsters. This is the only thing I could think to call it. I don't know, but to keep the overhang of your stirrups buckle from flapping against your legs, and quiet material, I guess, except for the Velcro part. So
right.
all gators have got them. So it's one of those things, no really getting around it. I don't like the idea of having zippers on my feet. I've had zipper boots before, and you coat them in mud one good time, and hopefully they're off your feet by the time it dries, because sometimes that thing will get stuck on you,
Yeah.
and you about got to burn it off. But got those, and we'll have those at the booth. I hope we have some left at the booth. They're kind of going quick online. We got those pretty quick. Come with this handy dandy travel case, which I like because I ain't gonna say deathly allergic to poison ivy, sumac, and oak, but I'm pretty daggum allergic to it.
Right.
So I'm pretty nitpicky when it comes to where my gators go, and even where the if I'm wearing my granges or something like that down here in the swampy parts and stuff, I don't like it to touch my other clothes and stuff. Then I go put my, my jacket on or something, and it's on my collar, and then it can be 3 weeks later, and I'm gonna catch it wherever it touches. Whatever touches this and touches my skin, I'm gonna look at poison ivy and catch it. I'm that type of allergic, but so wanted to get something to put them in. I've usually used a bunch of Ziploc bags and stuff. This has got a ventilated hole that'll zipper on up. You can fold it, I think, 6 total times and stuff it in your vest if you want to or whatever like that. Good little addition, value adder right there. So gonna have those. Gonna have some new hats like this green leaf mesh back. I know we mentioned this is where it's going to get tied up because we Chase and I recorded one before we got these embroidered. Yeah. That was intended to air a little later on in the week. So you'll probably get to see the actual real version of these new green leaf hats, and then couple episodes down the road you get to see the blank version of it. But just know that we recorded these backwards. Chase is wearing one of the new Bottomland ones. That's going to kind of tie in with the big release that we got coming up, hopefully at the NWTF convention. We are watching tracking number religiously for a really big shipment of something, and that's all we're going to say. So if all goes well, it will be here by the 15th of February, and we'll be at the NWTF convention for folks to buy. We've got everything kind of pre-programmed into our system to be able to sell it and for y'all to be able to purchase it. If they get here on the 15th, we will send somebody to go pick it up at the nearest location that it's at, distribution center or whatever. Then we'll bring a whole daggum trailer to Nashville and unload it and go straight to the booth if we have to. And with the way some of the weather has worked here lately, might have to. So if it don't get here, just know that we'll have an option. We'll think of something. I don't know. We're gonna wing it, obviously, but we have the prototypes available. I'll be able to see them, feel them, and if needed, can scan the QR code and order it and get it the next week. You just ain't gonna be able to pick it up right there. Right. So something that y'all should know your sizes on. So don't worry about that. But we've got a couple details we're gonna line out and make sure that that we get those to y'all, regardless if you're not able to attend. That y'all get in on that big release because it's pretty big. Yep. And took about just as long as these Gators did. So I'm obviously chomping at the bit to get the word out. So fingers crossed that they get here in time. If not, they'll definitely be here by turkey season, which is what really matters. Right. And we're also, we're looking forward to seeing folks. That's kind of what the NWTF convention has become for us, is just a kind of an annual way to catch up with folks that you saw the year before and the year before that and stuff like that. Is what I look forward to more than anything. It definitely ain't setting up the booth or taking the booth down, and I know I can speak on behalf of Chase and Seals on that. But yeah, so the plan is, the past couple of years we've been really tied up working the booth, checking folks out and stuff like that, and restocking stuff. So we're going to try to have some folks kind of allocated to the hands-on work. That way we'll be able to talk to folks a little more and take pictures with folks. And we've usually been behind a table and stuff, and some folks, I can tell they want to get a quick picture or something like that. They feel real obligated to, I don't want you to have to get up and get around the table. Right. I'm like, dude, I don't get, I want to, you know, this is what we're here for. Yeah.
Give me a reason to get out from behind this little thing.
So hopefully we're not going to be tied behind the table and stuff this year, and we'll be able to hang out a little more. And I'll have plenty of books there, both copies, Any Given Spring Morning and Ballad of a Turkey Hunter. If we run out of hardcovers again, we got boxes of paperbacks, kind of on reserve. And so we'll have those and a lot of other stuff. So we've got some casual stuff. Got
some new casual stuff coming, don't we?
Well, I've kind of, last year that's all we had was casual stuff, and I'm so far, focused on the stuff that's coming in. That's not necessarily just, casual apparel. That's still, still a big chunk of what we do. So we've got a lot of that too. So I don't want this to turn into a Spring Legion hat, because we are here to talk turkey hunting, not turkey wearables, turkey hunt wearables. I'm trying to think of one more. I lied. This ain't about a Spring Legion hat though. So this is about the podcast. Actually, it's going to be our live podcast. The past couple of years we've been doing this. Had a really good time. I didn't get to attend this particular one last year because we were having a daughter Wound up coming the day after, so I could have made it.
Right.
But it's going to be our one only live podcast of the year. Is going to be in God's country, a.k.a. the Promised Land, a.k.a. Starkville, Mississippi, which is a little more local to me now. Not going to be a big of a deal trying to make that trip. And Jason Seals was able to attend it last year, and I got to watch it live on the Instagram Live, and was really missing it, because that's really a good kickoff. And we went to a couple other places last year. We just don't have the time to do that this year. It was a lot of fun there in Nashville and in Auburn and stuff. But we wanted to make sure if we do one, we want to do Starkville for the third year in a row. So that's going to be February 21st. That's a Wednesday. And going to be a good time. I don't know the time yet. It's going to be like 6 or 7-ish probably, I would think. I got to get on the phone with him, line that out. But we'll all be there, Seals, Chase, and I don't think the Speak the Language podcast is going to be collaborating with us on it this year. But I might rope Blake and Jordan into coming anyway or something. Right. I don't know. But we'll worry about that later. We'll have some updates on the website, sprintlegion.com. Y'all be sure to check that out. And we have got so much new stuff coming out. Yeah. It's not even funny. So y'all just go there from now on.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting long-winded on it. But yeah, let's talk about turkey hunting. So, story / lessons we've learned kind of start turning into mush about now because we've talked about it, and this is one. Chase and I was sitting here just a second ago. He was fiddling with the cameras, turning them on, getting the audio part set up and everything, and we established we're going to talk about a Georgia hunt that he and I went on, and he was on the camera, I was on the gun, and we both kind of got to thinking, we're like, I don't remember what happened, So we sat down and kind of thought about it because this isn't one of those that we're telling for the first time. Obviously, we were both there, and it is a hunt that had been on our YouTube before. So I don't remember how long it was. It was one of those we just put all the clips out at the same time. Yeah.
I think it was 20, 45, 50 minutes somewhere in there.
Which is
full version.
When we did those full versions, it was the whole kit caboodle kind of deal. But we got to thinking about he was filming for that, and then after about that, we just remembered that we killed a turkey, and I had to go back and think a lot. I don't know what you had before that, but I feel like it was pretty on a whim. You coming to Georgia anyway? You was living in Mississippi. I was still in Georgia, and either I knew about this turkey or
no, I came over there to work.
I thought you came for a reason and just happened.
We did some new release of some sort. I remember that now. Because we got done hunting that morning and we went and we worked till 4 a.m. packing orders.
I
that was
remember
the day
that.
We filled up your truck and my truck as much as it could hold with orders. I don't remember what we released, but it was something.
I don't either.
I think that was that trip.
It is.
Is that right?
Yeah. I just don't remember what that had been. But
because we were like, if we don't kill one by 9 o'clock, we
had to go anyway.
Yeah, because I drove through the night, and I think I got there at like midnight the night before.
That's what I was saying, because I guarantee you had whatever it was we were shipping in your truck. You probably brought it.
Had to bring
to save the 3 days on shipping if we had orders already and we ran out. Because most by April, most of the inventory was just at my house at that time.
And if I'm remembering right, it was the weekend the week I had been drawn for Illinois.
I think it was.
And I was supposed to go up there.
Yep. So we had no plans to actually do anything.
Right.
But
drop shirts.
Right.
Pack shirts and roll.
Yep. And since you weren't going to Illinois no more, I was like, well, heck, I'm sure you got the turkey hunt stuff in the truck.
Right,
Just grab the camera and come up here. I know of a place that's got turkeys, and I do, now that you say that, jogged a little bit. I'd been to this place a couple of days before. I don't remember what it was, but I remember when I got there, first time I'd been there, I'm walking to about where we wind up setting up. I'm headed that same kind of little path. This is a piece of private that I got permission to hunt on, and I got it a while before and just never really went out there, scouted or nothing like that. But I knew it butted up to a pretty good public hunting spot in North Georgia. that I'd hunted before and folks know about kind of deal. But it was on the back end of it, which is good because there's, if you're familiar with the areas, kind of mountainous up in there.
Oh yeah.
And where we were at was kind of at the bottom of a bunch of stuff, but the only entrance I know about, cause I drove around and drove down near about every blacktop road trying to find another entrance to see, and the one I knew about was the only one I could find that day. There was a pretty good elevation change going up and going down between that gate and where we were at. So I was thinking, man, if we nothing else, heck, we've got a pretty golden ticket here to get to where some folks probably hard to get to.
Right. Little access
public
point.
land,
Yeah.
So we had a good bit of acreage, but it kind of went a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But the spot we hunted touched public land.
Right.
And that's obviously the first place I went, just in case I heard one on public land. I could go back there, waited till the second opening of Georgia, which is the public land opening. The last thing I want to do is hunt one of them, opening weekend of private and not be able to go to public if he walk. That'd be some funny stuff,
Was this that weekend?
No, that was the weekend before.
Okay.
It goes private land opens like the first weekend of April,
Mm-hmm.
second weekend in April, public land opens, but private's obviously, already open.
Right.
But that'd be something we hunt on private and can't go on public instead of the opposite.
Yeah.
Usually sit on public wishing you could go on private. And you can ask the DWR or whatever they're called. I don't think they'd give you permission.
Yeah.
Like you can sometimes kind of finagle on private land. Can't ride around and pull a hay mister. Can you hop out and, fix a gate or do something for you? But, yeah, so we, this must have been a couple of days after that public land opened because I went at least once. Yeah, I think it was only once. Just once. Went there and walked up pretty much. I heard some turkeys gobbling up on kind of a ridge to our left. And I think I was headed down as a wide open pasture that I had to walk through, and it was kind of daylight at the time, but I did not think near about, have already flown down type of daylight. So I'm slipping. I found a little wood line and eased on down it, and I kind of I crossed the creek and come up on the top, and I'm looking. It's just one little more stretch of the open area before it gets to a mountain that goes pretty. I mean, not straight up. It ain't like you got to climb it with your hands, but you'd be out of breath before you got to the top, that's for sure. And I heard turkey gobbling up there, and I was going to try to get as close as I could to the bottom right there, to where if I could figure out which direction he walked, I could kind of adjust accordingly, and hopefully he would stay on top, or even better, go on the other side, so I could just go straight up and cut that, route in half. But if he came on this side, I'd have to do a bunch of. It depends. If he goes this way, I'd have to sit and stop and, wait for him to pass and stuff. But as I'm getting there, I see this turkey's head stick up, and I think it's a hen. I don't remember. But it wasn't far, and it kind of, froze me there. And it was just a little dip, little swag in the, it ain't a road, it's just a wood line, walking the wood line. And it goes down, and I just happened to be looking right there as a hen's head pokes up. And, I kind of hit the deck right there and put my face mask on and stuff. I still ain't got my gloves on, stuff like that. And waited out, and I get to see tail fan just behind her. I see a couple more hen's heads. And so there's this turkey. I can tell he's, a long beard already. I mean, not a long beard. I can tell he's a gobbler already because of his fan. I've seen about half his fan so far, and I might check him out with my binoculars. I don't remember. But there's one little gap, a little break in the trees and the swag in the road that they would have to cross. They were walking that direction. They were going to cross, and I was going to get a look at it. I obviously ain't called or nothing. And as I'm kind of focused on it, I see him strutting. And he's got his wings down, and he kind of goes half strutting it. I guess, he gets anywhere they get where they all of a sudden can see something special or something new or something, they'll stop and get half strutting, check it out, and keep going. Or, if it's enticing, they'll walk down one of it if you can pull them off of there. But he did that, and I didn't see a beard. And he was missing a couple tail feathers, so now I'm all in my head like, was that a Jake or a Longbeard? Was there two of them? I don't remember. I was assuming there was one, so I was just looking for one, but one might have walked while I wasn't really paying attention. I don't know, because it wasn't but about a 10-yard little opening, and they were the hens at least walked pretty steady. He just happened to stop right there. So I didn't know. and I didn't really know what to do at that point because I just went from high to low to high to low, and now I'm just right in the middle, confused. Do I want to try to call him back? It wouldn't make no sense for just one Jake to be with some hens like that.
Right.
But I know for a fact there wasn't. I mean, he turned, and I was like, there ain't a beard on that turkey, and we wound up kind of getting on multiple turkeys throughout the season that didn't have a beard, ironically.
Somehow or another.
You know, so it's kind of weird that I'm probably never. I mean, I have seen some without a beard before, mostly like pictures and stuff. Though I don't know if I've ever really encountered one without a beard.
I may have seen one before this year, and I think we ended up with seeing 3 this year
at least. And I'm kind of like, if it ain't got a beard, usually it's a Jake.
Right.
But kind of let him get on with these hens. I don't know if I should call him back if there's a long beard that I didn't see. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, there's probably 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they kind of hit this creek and walked down towards the public. Cool, you know, no problem with that. That's opposite of the direction I'm walking. There's still this one up here, not hammering, but he's gobbling somewhat consistently.
A different turkey?
The one I was headed to originally. I wasn't headed to this one originally.
I missed
But
that.
in the meantime, I'm thinking, was that him? And he flew down. Somehow in the world, he just crossed the sky, and I don't see, 6 turkeys fly. I don't know. But it was, at the time, I'm, running through every scenario in my mind. And it wasn't. The one up there kept gobbling.
Yeah.
So he must have flown down without gobbling, or else I got there late. I don't know. So I still go in and set up on this one, and he's staying on top of this mountain that we were talking about. I'm going to call it a mountain. I was going to get over it. It ain't a mountain.
Same place that we set up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a mountain.
Yeah. You're from Mississippi, it's a mountain.
It's a mountain.
But no, he stays up there, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I do call a little bit and winds up. I at this point, it's my first time hunting here, and I've heard 1 or 2 more. I don't want to mess nothing up, obviously, because the last thing I want to do is push them on the public.
Right.
And it opens like the day after that or something. I think when we hunted, it was probably the opening day of public, I think.
Probably. I think that's right.
I was going to try to hunt the private land one time and see what happens. Either you came the day after, or heck, it might have been open. I don't remember.
I ain't got a clue.
But regardless, that's kind of a side note. But no, I kind of peeled off of him. I think he went on the other side. Can't remember. He didn't come down the hill, obviously, and he didn't really walk a route that I thought I could get to before he would kind of keep carrying on.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like, that ridge ran a long way this way, and my next way to get, if I'm trailing behind him, he's just going to keep going and going and going. And his gobbles are getting, way more spaced out. He's obviously with something and stuff. And I'm hearing another one behind me, and I don't know if it's the one I just saw or another one. It wouldn't make sense for it to be the one I just saw, so I kind of just let that one ride after a couple calls. Like, sometimes you got that feeling like that ain't him,
Right.
He ain't wanting to die right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for no real reason, you just get that intuition of not today.
Right.
He ain't that cooperative. He ain't rearing at me. He might be fired up as all get out, but if he, when he's gobbling at you,
Right.
He wasn't. And so I just kind of gently eased on back, kind of crossed over where I just saw those other ones, which is that opening to our left
Mm-hmm.
that you'll remember. He the way it goes with hollows and stuff, wound up getting on another one, or I heard him gobble twice, got in the same hollow as he was, or got on the same ridge he was. I don't remember, but that was it. Nothing happened to either. I think they were just crossing over, ridges, and I wasn't hearing them and stuff. I was just playing cat and mouse, but I had a bad jump. Me freezing right there really put me at a bad jump on this little race we're running right now with every turkey I got to. They already had what they wanted, and I was just trying to talk them away from it, if that makes sense. Which is kind of hard to do if you only try to do that with some end-up turkeys.
Right. And I will say on that, the next day, or not the next day, the next time you hunted it with me there, I remember the sound was playing tricks on us real bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, throw that on top of you trying to chase this turkey around or these turkeys around.
Yeah, it ain't like
for a tough
just
day.
one good old long ridge with size. It's a bunch of fingers coming off, and he can be on this ridge and gobble into this hollow, and it sounds like he's 1,000 yards further than he really is, and then he'll turn around, and you're like, is that a different turkey? I don't know. You know, you're just trying to break it down to left and right at that point. Which side do I even start? And, you can imagine having to, them having a head start and trying to play catch up. It ain't.
Make for a rough day.
If it was public land, if that was my only day to hunt it, I'd throw some kitchen sinks at them pretty quick. You know, I'd try to beat them around this way and you know, really wail on some stuff to just either get him or pull a satellite gobbler that I ain't heard yet off. But I ain't trying to, you know, mess a bunch of stuff up first day. And I think I'd already killed one at that point. So this is gonna be my last turkey in Georgia kill. You know, I ain't gonna be mad if I don't kill him the first time I hunt it.
Yeah.
Give me an excuse to go and stuff like that. I don't have to, you know, drive too far. But yeah, when you came up, so I have all this in my mind by the time Chase gets here, and I'm trying to think. I remember it was cold.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I didn't have near about enough stuff in my truck because I'd been hunting in Mississippi, which surprisingly, it stays a lot cooler in your area of Georgia that you were living in than it was here. So like I was very underprepared.
Yeah.
I remember like scrambling around that morning, like, hey, you got a sweatshirt I can borrow, a hoodie or something? Like I need a little extra.
Oh yeah.
But it was cold.
Yeah, and Chase gets cold in about 60-degree weather.
Yeah.
Too. So
yeah.
But yeah, so we're it stays colder longer in Georgia than it does here. I feel like it is a little bit more of a harder cold here when if say it's 40 degrees or say 38 degrees here. It's going to hurt your fingers and toes a lot more here because of the wet air than it is up there. But when it's 40 here, I feel like it's good 34 up there. You're flirting with the frost. And that's kind of the area, you know, the ballpark we were in that day, which I ain't a fan of cold, but I love it when a cool snap hits in the middle of April, that mid-April cool snap that, you know, it's kind of got its own term. Everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about.
Right.
It fires them up big time on the goblin. So that also applies in Georgia. I found that out. So
okay.
They were hammering that day we were there, and lo and behold, we get there. We get there a little earlier, and I'm gun shy walking through this opening now. I'm like, I don't know what time these birds flew down, but I could barely see the ground, and I mean, I just saw like, you know, a gray head stick up, and I could just see like kind of the white of the barn on his wings. I'm like, that is a turkey, and he's strutting. And for all I know, they've been there a little while. So
when was that?
When we're headed back. So I got my eye out now. You know, yeah. So we're there a little earlier, but not much earlier. But I don't know if we're about to walk up on them again or anything like that, or where they could have been roosted.
Yeah, I still feel like we were running later than we wanted to be.
Yeah, I don't remember why. Something to do with getting a gate open or something. I don't remember. Or I know why. I think we wound up parking different than I parked the day before, just in case, because I didn't want to drive by it or something, knowing then what I didn't know the day prior or the hunt prior. I didn't want to mess it up by accident. And they do the same thing. I'd want to be, you know, ready for it and them not know we were even in existence. But so we slipped through. There ain't nothing in that field or pasture, and we're there's one goblin on top, same spot, got to be the same turkey.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the hunt prior, and do you remember hearing any more? I don't think we did, because we were up in the woods. I'm thinking back now, we were in the woods when I heard it, because I was just stopping. I don't necessarily, if I'm trying to find one in a hurry, which is very rarely, I let them try to gobble on their own, knowing they're checking their tent before. I mean, owl hooting is a whole new ball game when it comes to like calling, especially on a piece of public or something that's hunted a lot. I mean, owls hoot all the time throughout the night, throughout the day, you know. And turkeys gobble at it pretty often, but I still don't want to fire a turkey up and him give a false sense of fire it up. If I'm walking in and I ain't made a sound and he's gobbling, just pow, 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 you know, I'm like, I can kind of read the scenario, like he's probably by himself.
Yeah.
If he's, you know, hammering over and over again, but there's an owl hooting at him, I don't know if he's by himself necessarily, you know. And you might try to get him to gobble once by hooting once, but you might fire up two owls that go back and forth, and then he's just gobbling at the owls, and I'm like, well, I just needed one to know where he was at, but I would have loved to him to let me know his temperature without being influenced by these owls, just so I know what I'm about to do.
Right.
You know, kind of basing my next move off of that move. And
that's also if you can hear one or two turkeys, kind of pick which one to go towards.
Yeah. I mean, I always pick one goblin most.
Right.
You know?
Right.
If it makes sense. And none of it makes sense in my mind about that time, because I'm sitting here looking left, right. Well, if I go to this one, then that one's the one's fired up. Which one's more likely to come to me anyways? Not that one. It's going to be the one goblin. and I'm playing through all this, and I mean, this, if there was another goblin, this wouldn't have been the one I set up on it.
Right.
He didn't come down the morning before, didn't even really seem that interested. I'm in my mind, he's got some hens up there because he, something took him down that ridge.
Yeah.
And he stopped gobbling as often and didn't leave. It wasn't like he will gobble and his next gobble was far. He was headed somewhere. He was with something hanging out up there. He'd go to this side of the ridge, that side of the ridge, but he just gradually worked the long way down onto that public area, I guess. Okay. Well, this is the tip. The tip comes down into the pasture.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? But it runs a long way the other way. So, I don't know what's on the other side. Ain't no way you can hear the other side of that ridge. Oh, no. So I have no idea what it's on the other side.
What, 300 yards of ground from top to bottom?
Yeah.
And it's a pretty steep incline the whole way.
It ain't no.
It's a wall.
Oh, yeah. I mean it would hurt to walk up if you ain't used to it.
When we got to the base of it, I said, you can go hunt them.
Right.
Like,
if you're looking in the woods, it don't look that different because, it is really open, but you can't tell what's...
It looks dark.
Until you see a turkey on it or see something walking up it. It just looks like, kind of distant trees, but what you don't realize is a lot of that's just ground, and the trees that would be there are actually way up there.
Right,
It's just going and going and going. Because I remember seeing a turkey on it going, oh, there's the ground, kind of. If I didn't know any better, I thought he was walking the top of a tree, but he's really walking on the ground at the bottom of that tree.
Yeah.
We're just not used to it. I think I'm sure some folks in Virginia and stuff are laughing at us in Kentucky and like, y'all are, what are y'all doing out there? But definitely different, still different to me. I know it was different to you because you ain't never hunted up there. And so I was a little more acclimated to it. He's doing the same thing. I think it's the only turkey we heard. We decided to set up on him.
I remember we heard some hens that morning when kind of put us in a bind, I felt like.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
There was something that put us in a bind.
It was. We heard some hens
and
on the creek.
Behind us.
Right.
And we were
close.
Yeah. We were like,
that's the turkeys.
How can we not see these turkeys? Like
were we sitting down yet?
We were about to cross that little 10-foot opening, I think. Maybe the one you were talking about, but there was like a little... where they had pushed drove a tractor back there one time to get some firewood.
That's up in the woods. That ain't what I was talking about earlier. That's up in the woods. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot about that.
We were about to cross it, and them hens cut up, and we were like, oh, gosh.
And they weren't far.
And
in my mind, everything I just kind of took a deep breath about, like those turkeys ain't here. They didn't see us. I'm going, dadgummit. They were here. They just, he wasn't gobbling, and I wasn't hearing no hens, but... That's probably the ones that flew down here yesterday morning. So we just kind of, take 2 steps back,
plop down,
turn around, and sit and be quiet. And they kind of I think they kept cutting up a little bit after that, so I don't think they saw us. But, of course, in my head, I'm thinking, no beard, either Jake or Gobblers with him.
Yeah.
The one that was here yesterday or day before, he just ain't gobbled yet. So... I'm kind of got my hand under my gun, I think, ready for if they fly down and go to this opening. We did sit where we were about 25 yards from that opening. So if they walk that edge or they got in the field, I can call them to the edge and shoot.
Right.
Good distance to that. Honestly, before then I could shoot if I needed to because I'm pretty close to it. Could see it pretty decently. It's on my left. You're kind of over my right shoulder. There's a log behind us or in front of us? One or the other.
Yes, something. I think
it wasn't the best setup because we were crammed up in a corner.
Yeah. And we were set up about 10 feet apart too, so
yeah,
we could almost hear each other whisper, but not quite enough to make out everything.
Yep.
At one point, wasn't there a turkey in the field that came out of nowhere? And we were like, uh-oh. Or was it a hen or was it one of the longbeards or one of the gobblers? And then, so that's what I thought.
I forgot all about that.
We thought we got busted. Right after we sat down, we looked up and saw a gobbler out in the middle of that field, like alert looking, like he 100% saw us. And we don't know if it was the bird we had heard gobbling or not or what.
I think it was.
I think it was a gobbler.
It was a gobbler. I don't know if we have that on camera, do we?
I don't think so. I think it was just like
did.
what.
So this is after we sat down, I think.
It was either
we're standing at
while
the tree.
we're standing about to sit down.
That's exactly what happened.
Froze or something.
So the gobbler we've been hearing up there. Yeah. These hens called behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And that gobbler that had been gobbling at the top, he didn't gobble any coming down, but all of a sudden we look over, like I'm kind of literally looking in the pasture land to make sure I can see it if this scenario happens, not thinking when those hens started acting up, I forgot, just forgot to think about the gobbler for a second. I was just worried about not getting busted by these hens. Mm-hmm. We're actually in between them, so to speak. He's way up here. We're at the bottom. These hens are they're roosted on this creek running behind us.
Right.
And I kind of look scanning I can see it. Oh crap! There's and I could tell immediately it's a red head. It's a good 100 yards away, I'd say. But he's looking, and I don't know. I didn't think he could have seen us because we took literally 4 steps, and he's probably looking for those hens. Yeah. But I bet you we kept them hens from flying down for a little while.
But at the time, we're thinking we done messed up.
Oh yeah, no, it was in my head. I was cussing me and you and that turkey and
the hens
the
behind
gate
us
at the beginning and the lady at the gas station. Everything I can think of that it might have stalled us from getting there 2 minutes earlier.
2 minutes earlier.
Mostly me. If anything stalled us, it would have been me. But obviously we don't call. I don't remember hens making much noise after that. But he does gobble. I just mentioned right before that he never gobbled coming down, but he did gobble a couple times going. Like the next gobble was about halfway up that mountain. Mm-hmm. Next gobble was 3/4, and then he gobbled on top. And I'm like, that's the same turkey. Yeah. That was a turkey gobbling up there. He walked. He heard them hens walk down. He could have flown. That's the only thing I think that ever run through my mind. I said he flew down this hill.
Just glided off the.
Yep.
He
was probably. I think he was on the ground, and he just jumped off and landed, and then probably walked down a little bit. And I don't know what the terrain quite was.
He may not have. He may have flown, and that's why we didn't see him out there walking in or anything. Mm-hmm. He may have just flown down to that center of that field a second before you scanned it, and you just didn't see him flying.
Yeah. I'm saying I think it was the one we heard gobbling on top, came down, and just went back up.
Oh, okay.
I don't think this was a separate one. Cause I know I saw a beard on him. This is about to all make sense. Hold on. I just remember.
Yeah.
I just remember why this is about to make sense. The turkey I heard gobbling at the top, and the turkey I heard that was 100% the turkey we saw did walk to the top. There's 2 gobblers.
That's right.
Remember?
Yep.
So that one did not leave. I thought it did leave. It didn't leave the top. I'm imagining this is all, spinning illustrations in my head right now. There was a second gobbler that went up there.
Yep.
So this gobbler, I don't know where he came from. It don't matter, honestly. But he did walk up to the top because he gobbled a couple times going up there. And then I never heard those 2 turkeys both gobble or anything like that. But there wound up being 2 turkeys, and I guarantee that's what happened. We didn't see them for a good long while, I think, probably until after these hens flew down, remember?
I remember one of the hens about hit me when she flew down. I mean, landed. I was like, what is, like, I thought it was a coyote getting me.
I remember hearing I didn't hear the wings. I'm sure you did because it was like the air you could hear. Yeah. I didn't hear no leaves or nothing. I just heard the, if you've ever heard a turkey's feet hit the ground, you know exactly what that sound is. And you can hear it. It's like kind of like drumming. You can hear it a long ways off, but you know what you're listening for. That was a turkey hitting the ground. That wasn't a acorn hitting the ground or a deer stepping on a stick. That was a turkey's feet hitting the ground. And I don't know what it is, just that thump. And I heard that and went, uh-oh. And
it was about 6 yards behind me, I feel like.
And you were about 10 yards behind me, so I know it was close to you.
It was right in my ear.
Yeah.
And I couldn't turn and do nothing.
Yeah. You have no idea what it is.
It may be a long beard. At this point, I'm pretty sure it was a turkey, but, I hope it's a hen, and I hope it goes the other way.
Yeah.
And it walked right through I don't know if it went through between us.
It might have split us.
It
was close to me.
It walked real close to you. I know that. After that, it walked away from me up towards you and got a few yards from me. And that's on the video. I remember that.
Yep.
And then got out in that field.
By herself, wasn't it?
It was just her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if some other hens were out in the back corner or anything like that.
Yeah,
we weren't trying to move. But one thing I do remember is the minute that hen popped in that field, them gobblers, pow.
Yes.
And we ain't said a word.
Yep.
They obviously could see that field. So thank goodness we hugged in those woods the whole way up, because they would have seen us walking in there.
Very good point right there.
And
I think I did whisper or something in that video saying they just saw her.
They saw her, yeah.
Because they sure did. They sounded off the second she kind of walked out of that shadow. And I'm like, they've been looking at that field, waiting on this. And that happened a couple more times later on in the year that we'll talk about in different podcasts. But that's the first time I kind of really picked up on it, like where turkeys just hang out and what their options are. I call it like a point of option kind of deal. Like turkeys like to gravitate towards a creek. I mean, they like to roost over water for safety,
right? Period.
But I think they like to roost, close to the top of a ridge that is an opportune situation. Or if it's the hens on this ridge or this ridge, they like to just hang out where they can hear both or see both or see one and hear the other or something. They don't like to really eliminate options. So they like to get in that, what I call a point of option, where they'll get on a corner or something so they can go this way, or that way. And then just in case, they can go back to where they were, kind of deal. But they don't like to go past that once you start having to strike off an option. If it goes to 3 options to 2, they're going to hang out, and they like to have the cake and eat it too, listen here and there, and keep everything open. And I guarantee that's why they're hanging out on that tip, where they could see that, but they could hear down the other side.
Right. If
the tables are turned and it was wooded on the bottom here and it was open there, they'd be on that side where they could hear this but see that, if that makes sense. Theory, but I'm pretty.
It made sense.
I think that's, I've more you start thinking about it, the more I started realizing they do that a lot.
Yeah.
But they did, and then I really don't know what happened to that hen. I never heard her again, never saw her again, nothing like that. But I do know we heard a lot more than one hen behind us, and we only saw one hen, so I gave it a little while. And if anything, I hope to turn that hen around, but I did not think we were going to. I had a feeling she saw us either walk in or sit down or just split the difference between us sitting 10 yards apart. She probably knows we're there.
Yeah, but I really and honestly feel like she never got nervous. She just,
she never putted that I know of. Just kind of clucked around and walked straight through. And for all I know, there was a gobbler sitting on the side of the hill the whole time. She walked straight to him, and he just didn't gobble.
Right.
Just didn't say a word. But he's gobbled at her, let that ride, and then they didn't move. I mean, they moved back and forth, left to right, but they never, obviously came down. I was really discouraged. If at this time we think it's still one turkey, and I think he has already came to the bottom, walked to the top, and I said, it's pretty daggum hard to call a turkey downhill.
Right.
Period. You know. Why? Because he can see down the hill. I mean, that's a big difference right there. He just gobbled this hen. He can see you trying to, if you're like, there's a difference between sitting in the woods by this creek and calling him down to that,
open
down
area.
Down the hill period, and then having to call him through the opening is one thing, or he has to walk down the hill to see this opening or something like that. But if he can see the foot of that hill and he sees it there in a turkey on the tree you're calling from, he's been hunting, which I'm sure being neighbor in the public land, these turkeys know a thing or two.
Right.
It's going to be hard to do that. And so I'm pretty discouraged at that. And we don't really have an out, because I'm not going to leave this gobbling turkey without even trying it to go to nothing. We didn't hear another one, behind us or anything like I did the hunt prior. But so I think they kind of hang out on the high side. They're going to approach you. They'll loop around and get on top to come down for the fact of being able to see. But also, I think a lot of it has to do with the way their legs are built. Their legs bend backwards. The turkey legs don't bend like our knees do. They bend the other way. And walking downhill, I think, is a lot easier on them than walking uphill. Imagine trying to grab something and pulling up the opposite way. But a big factor, I think, is just safety. If they're walking down a hill, then they got to turn around and. I'm sorry, I'm saying this backwards.
Yeah,
I'm saying this all the way backwards.
No, that's
completely
opposite.
Backwards. Ignore that. If they're walking up a hill, it's more comfortable.
Right.
The seeing and stuff, that's all valid. But if they're walking up a hill, they can turn around. But if they're walking down a hill, they can't. They got to turn back around and run uphill. That's not safe.
And they can't really fly uphill either.
They can fly uphill, but
they can. But
the predator behind them's also going up.
Getting off the ground's harder for them. If they're going downhill, they turn one step it and they can pitch across.
They're 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah. If they're you're trying to
they're going the same rate as whatever's running behind them.
They're trying to get elevation going up. They're staying about a foot off the ground for a good 40 yards.
You got to double it real quick.
So
yeah, I'm glad. I was thinking, I said, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I was sitting there in my head like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense.
But
anyways.
Regardless, so I'm not thinking we're going to call these turkeys downhill easily, and we're going to try it.
Oh, yeah.
So we tried, did a couple, I didn't have to get too fired up. It's wide open woods. It ain't, foliage is pretty low. Echo is pretty loud. It sounds good down there, so I had to really make sure we didn't get carried away because it's bouncing everywhere. It sounds like turkey season down there, birds and everything. And when they gobble, you hear it for a little while. It hits every daggone hardwood tree in there and bounces back and forth. So wanted them to gobble as much as they would because they're on top and they're throwing it down in this bottom we're in. But played it pretty cool, acted like we were just a normal hen, doing normal hen things, call a little bit to the left, call a little bit to the right. Didn't really fool around with scratching. They weren't close enough for that, I didn't think, and definitely didn't want them to see us. But he answers a couple times, and then I catch a glimpse of them, and that's when I realized, oh, that's where the ground is. They're kind of halfway down this thing. They're not at the top. I just see one strutting, and I'm talking a dot. Just make a strutting circle-looking move. And I'm thinking, okay, he ended up found them up there, and that's about the last gobble came from 50 yards left of that, and a minute or two goes by, he gobbles a little towards the right of where I just saw that dot, and I'm like, that was that turkey. And I see it come back, and then this time the sun, I don't know if it's at our back or not, but the sun is hitting this ground that they're on. So now I can see shining. I can see a glimpse of stuff a lot easier than I was when it was all still a shadow. And I can tell there's two of them. I'm like, I think there's two gobblers in this mix.
Right.
But I didn't see a beard on one. So now everything's making sense because that was a different turkey at the bottom going to that turkey's gobbles.
Right.
That was probably the same turkey I saw. I guarantee that was the beardless turkey that we saw down at the bottom. I saw the red head, but I didn't see a beard. And he didn't gobble. He didn't gobble the morning before either, I don't think.
I see.
So he hit the ground and went up there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking the whole time it was this turkey flew down, went back up, and I'm like, oh, dadgummit, he ain't coming down twice. I can guarantee you that. Well, he ain't been down yet. So my hope's getting a little, okay, that turkey doesn't know there's nothing down here yet. So I kind of pick up on the call on a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's try to talk them on down. And they work back and forth. They're answering. Don't want to overdo it. I don't hear hen or nothing. And a little dead period there. I don't know if he did breed a hen or something, but there was a little dead period there where I'm thinking, I cannot think of a better option, though. As bad as I don't like being at the foot of a hill that I know you can see. If I was back on the other side of the creek, I'd be perfectly comfortable. I'd sit till 3 o'clock if I needed to. Yeah. But being at the bottom where I know he can see, because he just verified he can see it, wasn't sitting well with me. But I could not think of a better option that didn't involve messing this up. The risk was not, worth the reward with anything playing Q. I couldn't think of one. So we sat and waited it out, and heck, they came down before 9 o'clock. It wasn't like we sat there till noon. But,
I feel like we were there probably 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. It just a lot happened in the first 10 minutes. Made the next 50 seem real slow.
Right.
Just kind of working them, and just true definition of just working a turkey. Not expecting him to come to this call, or probably not even the next few. But don't let him forget about you. Don't let him. If he's going to scratch off one of these options, don't let it be you. Don't just steadily stay in his ear. Let him know you're here. Let him do whatever he wants to do anyway, because you ain't going to talk him away from that usually. They're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Just be the next plan C for him, the next step.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember I had a difficult time finding the birds.
Yeah.
Because I didn't necessarily realize where the ground was because I hadn't seen the birds yet.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole, that's where the ground is. You're saying, hey, he's out there in front going left to right or right to left, whatever you're saying. And I'm like, I'm like right here, and this turkey's on what would be flat ground, but like right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden I finally find them. At the end of the video. So, it's a bunch of, I got some clips of them cutting across openings and stuff that I'm looking at a screen the size of my thumb, you can't tell the speck up there at 100 yards, 200 yards, however far they were.
I remember looking at your camera going, move it left or something.
Right.
Like, you'll get them.
You'll get them,
know?
yeah.
And I know I'm looking at it through your eyes. I'm like, ain't no way. He's doing exactly what I did the first time I was here, and I was looking way down in there like, man, that's got to be, or you're looking way at the top. You're looking at the top of the tree thinking that must be the top. That's really the trees on the other side you're looking at. The top is more this way. So it's really throwing Chase for a loop, I'm sure. And I'm watching them, but I don't see them the whole time. I'm catching glimpses and pieces, They're moving left, they're moving right. They gobble a couple of times moving left, and left is the route that they would take to get to us. Right would lead them on the other side of this ridge or into this on the other side of the finger part of it. So when they start moving left, every time they move left, I get a little jumpy because they got to walk left to come down. They walk right, they're walking in the air.
You got that back. That's right.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, you're literally pointing right.
Yeah.
Saying left.
Yeah.
They got to come right to come
Correct.
down to our end of the field, A, to the bottom of the hill, B, and towards the creek, C.
Right to us. I'm thinking of a turkey,
You're
guess.
thinking from him walking.
Yeah, if he walks left.
If he's walking to his left, correct. But
right. I'm in the turkey shoes.
I go from
right now.
our shoes.
Yeah. If you're in our shoes, they need to walk right. You can see on the video they walking right.
Yeah.
Right to us, left to them. Right.
Onward.
All right. So this last time they made it down a little bit of the ridge, and they're walking back to the right a smidge, and my hopes are pretty high now. So I'm thinking, all right, let's lay it on them. So do some calling, get them fired up. They gobble 2 or 3 times, sat it, shut up. I'm thinking, all right, let's see, because this is the most confident I felt. Waited out. They gobbled, I think, a couple more times after that, and I was thinking, if we got a chance, it ain't revealing where to look better at. You tell them exactly where to look when they're on the high rise, on the high end of you. That's when you don't want to be pinpointed. I know turkeys can near about pinpoint your tree from 300 yards, it seems like, but if you can do anything you can to be opportune and making sure he's not able to, whether the wind's blowing or something like that, and I don't think it was, and there wasn't no trains nearby, wasn't no crows cutting up behind us. That's when I would usually call, or if I can see him, if he's strutting and turning around and stuff, or anything, if he's pecking the ground, anything that might be making some noise close to his, body. That's when I'd call 2-3 yelps and stops before he gets clarity, so he'd have to wonder. But I don't remember an instance where I'd had that opportunity. So I just shut up, and they started moving a little bit, and I just let them move. If they walk down and they're really, really wrong, I can pull them back. But I just want them to get down. And once you get the turkey down the hill, it's a new ball game. It's kind of like going into overtime at that point. They say, got a whole new ball game on our hands. It's 0-0 again when it's really, 14-14 in a football game. But, stuff's been happening. It's just pretty neck and neck at that point. But until you get him down there, he is starting with 2 steps ahead of you. Yeah. He can see more than you can call. If you're going to try to, make them curious, because they can solve it without their ears, with their eyes. But so I shut up, let them walk, and they're veering down a little way.
And I kind of think they zigzagged a little bit. They kind of worked
they would
their
gobble
way down.
over here, and they'd zigzag over here and gobble, and they'd zig back over here. And I'm watching them like they're coming down. I don't know where they're going to wind up hitting the bottom at, but at that point they're crossing over my face. They're crossing my gun barrel left and right, coming down, and I'll lose them for a little while.
And I still don't know where they're at exactly.
Yeah, pretty much because when that terrain starts coming down and those trees start leveling out, there's a gap, until he hits down. He's just going to come down here. I don't know if they're coming out here or here, but
once they got below the foliage of the trees we were set up on, it's an open
normal
strip of bank almost that you can see. And when he got there, that's when I was like, there's a turkey.
Yep.
That's the crazy part about the footage is, I kind of caught maybe a glimpse or 2 of them by this point, but when you said here comes one, you were looking at the turkey on the right the whole time, correct? I think,
that's the first one.
Yeah, and I'm following the bird down, or following the bird in, and we didn't realize it until we watched the film back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pan behind a tree, and all of a sudden a different bird walks up because I'm like, that bird ain't got a beard.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be getting ahead of where you're at right now.
No, you right.
But I remember, he goes behind some trees, and then I just keep panning, and I'm like, he ain't got a beard. He ain't got a beard.
Mm-hmm.
He got a beard. All right. Wow, where did that come from? And his head went from chalk white to
and one had
blood red.
The one without a beard had a white head, and the one with the red head had the beard.
Yeah.
But
it's a little confusion point there.
Yeah.
As a camera guy.
And I kind of probably forgot you didn't know there was two. I knew there was two at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I saw them two up top. And I forgot you hadn't been able to. I didn't forget. I did not know if you had seen them or not. You haven't confirmed that you have, so I don't think you have.
Right.
But
you also kind of assumed that I did also.
Right. I mean,
at the same time.
One of the things, you shoot the one at flopping. I mean, put it on him after if you have to, but I'm not going to wait for you.
No, we don't coordinate much when it comes to filming. It's good luck, buddy.
Zoom out and get the
both
whole
of
thing.
us, and we just hope for the best.
Point it towards that. But no, I do remember those deer coming up behind us.
Yes. So the birds are 45,
we can see them
50
pretty good.
yards from us.
Yeah.
And I've got a little more.
They're going to walk right to the right of us. So,
right.
And I with them coming down, this wasn't catching me off guard. I was able to pivot around or whatever I needed to do. Kept them on my left shoulder pointed at them and kept them in front of me. I wasn't worried about that. Chase wasn't in the way or nothing.
Yeah, which I'm sitting on your right, but I mean, I was like,
we have to
as long
pivot,
as they don't get to the 90-degree point, we're good.
Oh yeah. At that point, I'm sliding the gun around.
Right.
We ain't gonna try to swap.
No,
I'm just gonna hand you the gun and
right.
You hand me the camera if you need to.
And that's one thing you won't see me do very often.
I wouldn't do that.
It's more of self-film from here. Side note, anyways.
But the
deer, I hear, and it almost sounded like a turkey. And I was like,
they were like trotting.
I don't really know what they were doing, but like when I heard them, they were close.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like,
oh, it's probably a creek. They're probably walking that creek and just hopped up the creek.
It's something
because that creek wasn't 30 yards behind us.
Okay.
And
creeks
up there is a little different. Everything's soft up there, if that makes sense.
Okay.
There's rocks underneath it, and you can almost walk on a rock and walk in like a sponge of moss like that, but both are silent. If you're walking on a big old rock wall and that, you can make cover like ground real quiet up there.
Yeah.
But you can also, get in a bind because you're trying to follow the path of least noise instead of resistance. You wind up in a bunch of rock, wind up in a bunch of moss. And you're like, well, this is not where I need to be.
Yeah.
But
so
they probably just hit some leaves right behind us.
Yeah, I guess. And I remember I was thinking it was a turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh gosh, we're about to get busted here. And then I think you were and
it scared me too.
And our attention is in front of us. These turkeys are.
You can cut it with a knife too. I mean, they're 15 yards from shooting.
Right.
At this point.
I mean, we're in the last few steps.
Right.
Of needing, and I mean, we're like, oh gosh. And I don't know if I told you.
You told me it was a deer.
I'm like, is it? Because I remember I finally turned my head enough that I could cut my eyes all the way as far as I could cut them. And it was a deer. It looked like it was the size of a moose at about 4 steps behind me. And I'm just like, there's a deer. What? A deer. I remember like you didn't know what I was saying, but like you were like, is there a turkey? I'm like, no. You're like, all right. Let this one keep walking. Like I knew I knew that's what you were thinking. Like, it doesn't matter. Just keep
keep on the turkey or something like that. Because when you say there's a deer, I'm thinking that's good that we're not. If it was a turkey, I'm not shooting that one. I'm about to shoot this one that's walking right at my gun barrel.
Right.
I'm trying to pan through all this. Like, do I swing and shoot turkey, or is it busted as turkey that this isn't going to happen? So our next best option is now behind us. Or when you said it's a deer, I'm like, I don't care about no deer, but at the same time, I'm like, uh-oh.
He's about to blow.
Please hold off about 10 seconds, and he didn't blow. Do you remember it blowing?
No,
it might have ran off and blew, but I mean,
no, it never did. I don't even think it ran off.
Really? I mean, no, I do remember hearing it walking. It walked.
I think they were walking 5-6 feet behind us the whole time until you shot.
Yeah, I remember shooting, going, "This is about to wreck some havoc behind us. Yep, because I could hear them just stepping,
Yep.
you know, behind us when I've got my safeties off. So they're right there at us, and they weave on down, and then I don't remember if it was the first or second one that didn't have the beard, but I think the one did he strut the one strut at all.
I don't really remember.
Because the one I was focused on had the beard.
And then they swapped.
They swapped.
And that's when I got on the frame. You got the messed up and got on the frame with the turkey with the beard.
Right. Yeah. The one with the beard was in the back the whole time, and I think the other one was strutting.
Maybe.
I don't know if it was ever on camera.
I never saw him, yeah.
I don't think it was ever on the camera, but I do think the front one was strutting, and that's the one that didn't have a beard and had the chalk white head, and that's obviously the one we saw the day before. And then probably one guy. I wouldn't say it was one goblin. I don't know. I wasn't at the top of the hill. I don't know which one was at the top of the hill, but I saw a second one that had a beard, had that new 2-year-old look to him. Had the feathers still pretty high up, and his bottle was still small. His testosterone ain't really kicked in yet, but he had a good old 9-inch beard. I'm like, good enough. You know, that's the one I'm putting the bead on, just to be sure. Because the other one I could tell was strutting. Like I said, he was missing some tail feathers or something. I was like, I don't want to mess this up, you know, and it'd be some kind of in between, you know,
big body Jake or something. Yeah.
But if I'd have known that, I think we wound up going back and looking, zooming real far in. That joker has mugs on him.
Yes, I do.
And I was like, that was a full-grown turkey right there. That wasn't no half Jake.
Yep.
That's for sure.
And what we came up with, we think he got caught by something, a coyote or something,
that makes sense.
Or his butt whooped really, really bad by some longbeards, or you know,
because he was ragged looking.
He looked, he had a rough couple of days before this.
You either got a turkey that looks like he's, you know, every feather's in perfect place and everything, perfect iridescence, and just marvel at them, you know. And then you got some look like they go out a lot. They've been to a bar last night and they just rolled over and they're like ready for round 5 right now, you know. And that's what he looked like. And usually that's scrappy ones that are kind of like banty roosters that'll gobble right up on you and not care, don't even tone it down at all. And they get behind a tree and then they never come out the other side. You know, they just pull a quick one on you just for the heck of it. I feel like just playing mind games with you. But some of the toughest turkeys I've hunted look just like that. I'm like, that joker's seen some things, I feel like. And so yeah, I shifted my bead on over to the pretty one in the back because he didn't pull a quick one on me. Actually, the other one stopped. That's why he got in the front. And he just kept on walking. I said, well, that's about perfect. Waited for him to clear one good old tree, and you know, I don't know if I waited on a go ahead, but I knew you had to have had him at that point.
Well, that was the worry I was panicking over, and I think you can hear it on the video. I'm like, wait, or don't shoot him, or do shoot him, or don't shoot him, do shoot him. I think I went back and forth, but where I'd set up, I had a sapling set up kind of close to the camera, and I had pivoted the camera until it hit that sapling, and the turkey was about out of the frame, and I couldn't keep going right. And I'm like, kill him. And then I was trying to watch your barrel out of the corner of my eye, you know, see if you're down on the gun. And that is kind of messing with me because you're a little smidge behind me to the left. You're not just directly to my left, which is, you know, fine. We're 100% safe with this. Yeah. It's just like, I'm so used to hunting with Hunter. We don't have to talk. I can watch your gun, a lot of it, and know whether you can see the turkey if he's in range or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I can't see none of this, and I'm trying to film, and I'm trying to tell you kill him before I run out of swing. And I remember I got my hand on one of the legs, and I had tilted the camera out just enough to swing with him. I'm like, if he don't shoot him right now, I'm falling. Like I'm about to mess it all up. And luckily you shot at the right time, and you know, I mean, it would have been fine if you didn't. Yeah, but I was trying really hard that day because I was strictly.
You didn't have a gun, we.
I was strictly.
You're gonna drive to Mississippi to film it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
But if he wouldn't have stopped while he's in the frame, we'll have to get on another.
It would have been
day,
all right.
You know?
Yeah, it would have been fine.
But I don't remember what I was. I like to let them get as close as they want to because I mean I like seeing what they're gonna do. You know, once they cross that 40-yard mark, that's when my nerves stop. I don't get nerves. Like my nerves go from the nervous part is the 100 yards to 40. Will he get here? Once he gets here, I'm like, all right. Now if he comes in 20, and if it's open, sometimes they pop up at 15.
Right.
That's when it's really nerve wracking. But I'm saying if you're watching one come in, my nerves kind of ease off once they hit 40, because then I'm like, he can get here, I can book or something, and he can putt and do this little bob, and I got 20 yards to shoot if I need to.
Right.
Would love to shoot him at 20, 25, but I ain't gonna really just let him come on into 15 and let my pattern get smaller and smaller and smaller and risk everything. But once it gets to 25, that's kind of where I draw the line. But I ain't opposed to shooting one at 35 if I know that's the only shot and I'm comfortable taking it. I ain't wondering what he's going to do after 35 sometimes.
Right.
If we've been on it for a while and it's 11 o'clock and we done crossed 3 ditches and 2 creeks and walked up and down a mountain, let him take one step at 35 and it's over with. I'm ending the hunt right there if I can. Whether he flies off after his ground's up to, I guess up to chance. But no, I let him come on in and it was fun. That wasn't the first turkey we killed together.
No, it was the first one we killed in a couple of years, probably.
A long time, probably.
Several years, probably. Yeah.
We killed a couple when we were kids just because we both had to hunt with our dad, or
right.
Either I would get to the age where I was old enough to go hunt by myself, and you'd hunt with dad, and then Brett came along, and we both had to hunt by ourselves. And about that time was when I could drive and you couldn't, so you'd be the one doing what I was doing a couple years later. But no, we never really got to necessarily hunt together.
Right.
Because it was enough to hunt one person on the little piece of private we had close to the house, and
we were normally rock paper
one
scissors.
One of us was trying to find somewhere else to go if we could help it, because the chances are very slim at that place. It wasn't like who gets to go there, who has to go there, and doesn't have nowhere else to go.
Right.
Kind of deal.
Right.
But now, and then you and Brett shot a couple out there a couple years later. Not this past season, or Brett did this past season. We'll get him on here and talk about them. Yeah. But I know the year before that, 'cause you called me and told me, I was like, hey, you heard a turkey on that place, much less shot one? I was kind of like, why'd you shoot him?
Yeah.
And you said something, there's 3 of them. I'm like, well, praise Jesus. Them traps are paying off.
Yeah.
That was really about the second year after we started trapping pretty hard out there.
Yeah, we're starting to see a few turkeys here and there now. And holding some turkeys.
Yeah, and they're
the
staying
big thing.
year round.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
And it's not the best ideal
80 acres.
Well, it's 80 acres broken into 3 sections.
So you're talking
divided. 20. So we have 3 20-acre sections divided by either other people that we can't hunt or blacktop roads.
But you can hunt. I can hear the turkey on that section.
Yeah, you can know he's
and really call him across some stuff.
Yeah,
but I just can't go to him.
Right. Back when we did, we're able to hunt a bird randomly over there. There was a couple years we had, decent seasons.
That whole 82-1 bird was at.
Right, right. But like up until that was the only bird on that property.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty good hunting. You could hear one at the other place, and either one of us would go to the other side of that he was on, that was our block that was over there, and then one of us would stay over here, and hopefully one of us he's going to cross that neighbor's property one way or the other.
Pray that neighbor don't turkey hunt. He's going to wind up on our side regardless.
Yeah, if that neighbor would ever figured that out, he could have just sat on his main 4-wheeler trail in the middle of his road.
Listen to both of us.
And he would have killed him every time.
Yeah, playing monkey in the middle right there. But that's probably, between me, you, and Brett, that's 9 turkeys permitted to shoot. We never shot 9 in a year.
Absolutely not.
That's why there was a stint there where there wasn't nothing there at all, though, because, it was a race to kill 3 out there. And then, as we got older and learned, hey, when you do that, you gonna brace for it.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, because it ain't gonna be like that forever. If you go to just killing a couple of them, that's, I think, a lot of the reason why, besides the handicapness of that turkey biologically, that ain't gonna spoil for nobody who's read that chapter in Ballad of Turkey Hunter. Joker was probably pretty daggum old.
Yeah. And
he'd probably seen at least 5 turkeys die, because one of them's got to be there for all of them if they're gonna hang out there. You can near about see from corner to corner to corner on every plot. A little track of it, and so he'd probably seen at least 5 die over the past 3 years. So he knows the playbook pretty well. But I don't know. If we'll wind up. I'm planning on going to Georgia this year and going hunt with my buddy Drew, and supposedly gonna meet buddy Gary up there and get Gary on one. And then I still got some phone numbers of some folks, and got a couple pins of some places on the public land that I hunted a time or two up there. And It's gonna be weird this year, honestly. It'll be
Yeah.
my second season. I mean, I hunted 2 seasons being a Georgia native, I think.
Yeah.
Gonna be weird visiting. Like it was weird visiting Mississippi. I hunted
Right.
Mississippi once last year and once the year before, and now I spent 20 years hunting it, 47 days or however many days there are, March 15th to May 1st. But it'd be a little weird hanging over when camping my truck in what used to be my hometown, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that beerless turkey comes back out. I know. Got the green light on him after seeing the hooks on him, so we'll have to head back up there and around that same time. Really, I think is what we got scheduled. So we're starting to line out some hunts. That's about one of 3 that I know I'm gonna go on. Other than that, it's a whirlwind. I'd love to head down to Florida, into South Florida. We've hunted Central Florida a couple of times, but I'm hoping, which we ain't got long to plan it. I'm hoping we can round something up and get our schedules to align to head down to the opener.
Yeah.
Down there in early March. I've never really done that whole ordeal, and I've heard it's a nightmare and a fun nightmare at the same time when it comes to other hunters. And, I mean, the only place in the world to shoot them, or continental U.S. to shoot them.
Yeah.
And that's first crack at it. You got the same blood type we got, it's worth whatever the miles, money, and all that stuff is to get down there, and then what you do with it's up to you. But I know there'll be a lot of other folks feeling the same way, but I'd love to go.
I know them first 15 days of March are rough whenever you see your buddy shooting something down there and you're sitting at the house waiting on Mississippi to open.
It's chomping at the bit. I'm telling you. Imagine being in Georgia.
Yeah. Got a whole another month.
Right. So this year, for the first time in 3 years, I ain't got no babies on the way, so I'm going to get to hunt in the early season. But now we got some birthday parties got to throw in the mix as soon as the openers start kicking off. But luckily that South Florida opens right between the 2, so got a week spare, and then we'll head on. If we head on down, we'll keep y'all updated. Hopefully, we have some good stories. Be an experience to say the least. I mean, there's still a lot of things that I've never done that are on the list to check off, and when that happens, I don't really care. But I mean, before I die, which you don't know when that's going to be, I would love to hunt. Some true Osceolas down in the south part of Florida, but I don't know. We'll get to looking around, scouting on the online stuff, which I like scouting on paper maps just as much as online stuff. And I really don't get into the topo part of the paper map stuff. I like looking at just the layout and creeks part, and then I'll take it over to the the online stuff. I won't look at topo, but seeing what we can hunt. That's square one. What is open? What is draw only? What is open to the public? When does it open? Because just because turkey season open don't mean it's open on that particular piece of ground and stuff like that. Crossing that off and then all that good stuff, and that point is wide open.
Yeah, full throttle.
Once 15th March hits, I don't know where I'm gonna be, but got a lot to look forward to, and this is my favorite time of year. Looking forward to it. But until then, we got a lot of work to do because we got a lot to get ready for the NWTF convention coming up middle of February. Hopefully we're gonna get some of these hunts out. After this one, I don't know. We got one more. Seal's gonna head over tomorrow evening. We're gonna record one. That'll be about a hunt that y'all will have seen on the YouTube if you have watched it. I'm saying this like everybody's watched these videos. I know a good chunk of them ain't. So would appreciate y'all watching them, obviously, and subscribing while you're at it. Liking and following wouldn't hurt too. But then we're getting into the stuff that isn't on there, and we actually have some videos of them. So we're gonna be pumping out some new videos. It doesn't have this whole long version of them and stuff like that, which we ain't trying to be a YouTube sensation, obviously, because we're far from it. The capabilities, we're far from those when it comes to filming. I'm not going to speak for Chase. Chase is pretty good at it. Breck's actually pretty good at it. Seals is getting good at it, and I'm still got a ways to go, but we're going to get there. But these next few episodes on the podcast are going to be pretty good ones that are going to be some traveling stuff going on and whatnot. And got a lot of good stuff coming from Spring Legion regardless on the podcast, video, and apparel and gear side that we're not going to talk about. I might mention it on the next one. I don't know. But y'all at NWTF convention, swing by the booth, you're going to find out what we're talking about. If not, check the social medias, obviously, at Spring Legion, and we'll keep you updated and let you know the release dates as soon as we know. But until then, we're going to be over here, fingers crossed, these things get here before NWTF convention. But if not, we'll hang out, have a good time. We got a lot of stuff to worry with, hold us over.
Yep.
Then it'll be time to listen for turkeys, and then good luck getting in touch with us.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, we definitely appreciate y'all, and all the support y'all have given us, as we go into what will be like our 5th season, I think. So pretty cool.
Dang.
Hard
to believe.
We're creeping up on our 100th episode of the podcast. So never thought we would see that.
Yeah.
Here we are, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't think we'd ever see that are coming in left and right now. So, but can't help but thank y'all sincerely, personally, and as a group,
Yes.
for what all y'all help propel and kind of, to an extent, being hands and feet of a mission that I think we all share is, retaining and kind of it's hard to put into words, just retaining that, demographic and image and heritage of turkey hunting as we know it to be down here. And I think a lot of other folks resonate with that regardless of where you're from. So pretty cool to see, if nothing else. If that's the only thing that comes up of it, is just a connection to, folks across the country that share those same addictions and obsessions, and, understand those withdrawals that you have and the anticipations that you get this time of year. Makes it a little better just knowing that you ain't the only one out there that can't stop thinking about them. So that's what we're here for, and that's all we're doing. So appreciate y'all listening to the Spring Legion podcast. We'll see you next time.